Welcome to Creative Capitalists. I'm Keith Hayes. This is Cheyenne Cobb. My goal in doing this interview is to educate our clients and educate the public abroad about partners and folks in the community that are having a significant impact.
My name's Cheyenne. I also go by Shay. So going into UCLA, I was 17 years old and I was battling with post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and anxiety. The best thing about UCLA was the Bruin Guardian Scholars Program, which was a program I was a part of that's for undergraduate and graduate students who are former foster youth or who have experienced the foster care system. That's kind of where I found like my main community.
Can you go ahead and introduce the story of Jenni's Flower and how that got started?
While I was at UCLA and I was like going to the Bruin Guardian Scholars meetings, it was really important for me to start learning how much these community members resonated with me and how much I resonated with them. I feel very fortunate that while I do have this foster youth story, I had my mom for 16 years who was one of the most like compassionate, bright, soulful, empathetic women I'd ever met. I was just like, how can I carry on her name and her legacy and her light and provide some of that to my community members? In 2020, I was kind of meeting up with some mentors of mine, and that's kind of how it was birthed, was through this meeting with my mentor and kind of pitching him my vision. I really want to create community spaces. I want to be able to provide like entrepreneurship for other foster youth. You know, the name Jenni's Flower was created like 2 weeks later. My mom's favorite flower was a sunflower. I felt like that was a really like perfect emblem of her light, her compassion, and kind of everything I wanted to like instill into like the impact I was hoping to make. Our very first ever event being the Foster Youth Flea Market, which happened in May of 2022. I was like talking to my mentors a lot and I was like, should I go back to school and get like a degree in nonprofit management, or should I go get a business degree? And they were like, just learn by doing, like just start. And I was like, okay. And it's proved fruitful.
On the pavement, you know, I mean, in business school, you know, I was always talking about affecting things, you know, just using what you had, your own resources to do something. Can you highlight some accomplishments that occurred for you guys in 2023 with Jenni's Flower?
In 2023, I would say some of the biggest highlights and accomplishments were hosting 5 foster youth flea markets. So we were able to go out into the community at some of our different community host sites, like coffee shops and you know, venues in South Central, and really be able to create these community spaces and events. We had 25 different foster youth entrepreneurs throughout the course of the year who were able to come set up their booths. At every flea market, we provide free tables, free chairs, free tablecloths, free flower decorations, and we also sponsor them with gift cards so that they can buy supplies and materials that they might need for their booths, such as, you know, display cases for their jewelry or candle wax to help them make candles. And that was kind of like one of the highlights for me, was seeing, you know, these 25 entrepreneurs, some of whom participated in all 5, some of whom participated in their first one throughout the year, and just getting to like see the growth in each and every one of them, and honestly getting to see them make a profit and walk away, go home with money in their pockets.
They earned something, they represented themselves in something, they presented, meaning a brand. I mean, incredible. A lot of people in business even can't even get that far. Based on all those accomplishments, even in the last year alone, what have been some of the barriers and challenges, you know, risks, issues? What's been happening, you know, during this first couple of years, starting a nonprofit at the age of 23?
I think for me, one of the initial like barriers and kind of challenges I faced when starting it at 23 was kind of barriers to access. So not really knowing exactly what it entailed to file a 501c3. The main one from like, you know, last year and even the beginning of this year has really been funding. So kind of like learning, you know, the ins and outs of like what it really takes to get a nonprofit to a sustainable financial point. Learning, you know, different avenues for funding, like fundraising and donations and grant writing, and kind of really having the challenge of not having necessarily a background in any of that and having to like learn it from scratch. I don't come from any family members who've ever done something like this. I come from poverty, so like sometimes I even have a hard time thinking beyond, you know, a certain amount of money. It was hard to
timeline and
like, I'm like, oh,
sustain
10,000, you know, and through this kind of like collaboration and guidance and mentorship at Allen Connect You, I was able to like see like, oh no, like this vision I have for, you know, a 10-year span of period what does this really cost, and really starting to be able to think through like the millions that it takes, and the team that you have to build out, and kind of like all of the inner workings of it that are truly like necessary for it to come to fruition.
Could you just kind of comment again on the types of sources of support you have and what your ideal sources are that you would like to have?
Our main kind of sources of support have been through community partners. Just going out to like other foster youth advocacy organizations, other organizations that are supporting the same demographic of youth, maybe with different services or programs.
Okay.
Going out to for-profit businesses as well that like believe in our mission and that have kind of built that authentic relationship with us to really keep building and growing and collaborating in like in a communal way. As far as the kind of sources of support that we are really looking for, those authentic and genuine relationships with major donors, with recurring donors that are able to help us monthly on a basis of supporting our operations, on supporting kind of the costs, you know, for our office space, so that we're able to continue hosting workshops and continue giving youth entrepreneurs a space as well to work out of and to grow and expand their mindsets.
And that allows for continuity, sustainability.
Oh, absolutely.
Long-term impact. If you're talking about developing people to be able to look out 3, 5, 10 years.
Exactly. You know, recurring donations for the flea market, so that we can have support for the tables and the chairs and the tablecloths. Donors that can help us really scale up our somatic practices component of the organization, which really aims to provide that physical exercise for transition age foster youth to heal from trauma and to be able to access things like yoga and Pilates and boxing and dancing. Rock climbing. I mean, these are things
that good for all of us.
It's essential for mental health, emotional health, physical health, and it's one of the things we haven't been able to do as much of right now because of the limited funding, and kind of like being able to have those major donors that can really come in and step up and help us grow that up, so that we can provide scholarships and sponsorships for youth to have monthly gym memberships and have access to experiences like rock climbing and running clubs and Pilates, which most of them have never tried before.
To commit to those things that some of us that come from families that maybe have more resources, we're used to those things. So with the use of these donor advised funds or additional even just direct donations, we know that we can take an organization, you know, that's grown from, you know, 4 to, if you include volunteer effort, you know, easily 25 people, let's say, and serving, you know, between 50 and 100 young adults to being able to expand and double that with incredible vision to grow that over the next few years to, it sounded like 10 times. So we're looking at a factor of growth of 10 times or 1,000%, right? One opportunity we have here is to see how we can do that on a social level and also a business level too, because we actually have profits being made here, which is incredible. This is an opportunity for you to get in touch with us. As part of Creative Capitalists, I've started a donor advised fund, but if you have questions about how to do that for yourself, you can reach out to us. You can even reach out to Cheyenne and ask her about what their capital requirements are. But these are things that we're looking to bring to your table and give you an opportunity to impact people just outside your family in your own community.